Hey, what is up guys? So I have a really crazy replay to share with you guys, but I also wanted to discuss something. So anyways, first off, let's watch this amazing first turn Blazar, Sifir, Quasar. Basically all the fan favorite boss monsters out in one turn. And it's legal, like he's not using any like ban cards, graceful charities, none of those. But I also wanted to open up this video to be a discussion video about Yu-Gi-Oh being out of control with the special summons. I mean, we'll watch this replay here and you'll see him pull off a really big field. It doesn't necessarily FTK your opponent, but it pretty much does. I mean, yes, your opponent can still play, but unless they got that, Lava Golem or them Kaijus turn one, like, or I guess the Winged Dragon of Raw Sifir mode, like if you don't have that, you just like lost. And look at this amazing play. And like this is where I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh's gotten out of control. Like this is legal. Like look how many cards he already has in his hand. I know that it's not something that you're going to see every single turn, but there is a lot of times in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where like these kind of fields happen. Not exactly this one, because this one, I mean, let's be honest here, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this. He's got 4 synchros, 3 cards up in the spell and trap zone, and then he has 5 cards in your hand, and you still start with 5 cards now in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's where I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gotten out of control, and I want to share a few more replays just to talk a little bit about it while I want to open up the discussion. But that is an amazing field, lols. Daniel, like that's crazy. Thanks for that replay. But anyways, I just feel like Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten a little bit too out of control. Just watch some of these like plays, and I don't know, maybe I'm just too old. Maybe I prefer Yu-Gi-Oh at a time where it was slower. But a lot of people also argue that Yu-Gi-Oh has just gotten way too fast, and I kind of agree with you guys in a sense where we just have too much. I don't know if it's special summoning, but I feel like it's a lot of interactions that you would normally have with a player just don't exist. I mean, look at this card right here. Synchronized Realm. I mean, this card was probably made with the intentions of, like, it just being bad. Like, burning your opponent for, like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 points of damage, and that was it. But now, you could tactically FTK with Desynchro, Resynchro, which I know it's very, like, odd, but you'll see some other plays that don't involve the whole Desynchro, Resynchro. But, like, the amount of times that you are synchroing or special summoning now in Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's just out of control. Like, your opponent sits there, and it makes a newer player, like, if a newer player was to play against someone that played, like, a Synchro, or looking into the future of the Zodiacs, like, would they like to sit through this? Probably not. It's not going to be a deck that I think a lot of players would be interested in facing, especially for a first-timer. A first-timer that goes up against something that special summons like 50 times, and they're sitting there like, oh, I summoned my 1 blue eyes. Like, they're going to be like, dude, this is like out of control. I don't like this. I'm leaving. I feel like that's just what kind of happens with Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially since it's very hard to introduce someone into this game, especially when you know that they're not going to be special summoning 50 times in their duel, where you're playing, you're going to be doing a lot of these things. But in addition to that, you also have cards like Vandy's Emptiness, which say you can't do anything. And this day and age, you need a special summon like crazy amounts of times. And look at this, like he's already made Quasar, and he's still gonna burn his opponent. Like you could have won multiple different ways, whether it was Quasar or without Quasar. But I'm gonna go ahead and showcase off like the Zodiacs, very relevant in the game. And we'll go to the Cup of Ace. Wow, get sacked, son. Oh, double Cup of Ace. But I guess you could argue the same thing with a card like Pot of Desires. Like, it is a +1 at the end of the day. It'll get you that extra advantage here. But it's just really unfair, I think, for some other players that jump into the game and they want to learn. This game is very complex. I mean, look at what the other guy makes turn 1. And this is what I find even more amazing with Yu-Gi-Oh! These days. Again, let me know, guys, how you feel about all the stuff that I mentioned, because I want this to be a discussion video. Is like they put Max C at 2. Like, why? They're like, special summoning is out of control. Better hit Max C. Like, I don't understand. I don't think we will ever understand the logic other than, like, it promotes sales of the newer stuff. Like, look at Zodiacs over here. We got Galaxy Wave. Every time you exceed someone for 500 points of damage. I was like, wait, in Zodiacs, you could just, like, exceed on top of exceeds. This is like ridiculous. Like, you could just burn your opponent before they can even really do anything, especially in a deck where, like, the whole deck is just throw cards on top of cards. Like, I don't know. You guys can chime in on this down below. I mean, maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! Is meant to be like this. Maybe going backwards is the wrong thing to do. But I feel like if it slowed down, you would introduce the game to other players that might not have wanted to play the game because they get wrecked so hard by like this cheesy stuff. And some people will probably say, well, this isn't going to be meta. I mean, come on. I mean, I know Galaxy Wave isn't going to be meta. Let's be real here. But I also want to mention, like, the special summoning is just too crazy. It is really what I wanted to mention in these duels. Is this the right one? Is this the other one? Okay, we got some Umbra Horrors. Who playing Umbra Horrors? But, okay, going back to the discussion at hand, how would you guys repair it, Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point? Like, do you guys think that the game... Because it's going to exponentially go faster and faster and faster. But at what point do we say, enough, we need to cut down the special summoning? Do we implement erratas and say, hey, we're going to make it so you can only special summon, you know, once per turn? Once per turn is probably not the right thing. Maybe like 5 to 10 times. I mean, even specialing 10 times, that's a lot of times. But certain decks are special summoning like 30, 40, 50 times in like one duel. And like they're decking their opponents out when they're doing certain things. And I know that those are like rare cases, but it's not very rare that a Zodiac player will special summon like 10 times in one turn. So I know some players will also have the mindset of, well, that's completely changing the game. Guys, Pendulums completely changed the game. They broke a lot of the rules. On top of that, you have field spells that completely got changed. And now we can have 2 field spells. So I don't think it's out of the mindset of Konami to say, okay, we're going to put a limit on special summonings. I understand certain decks can't function, but I don't know what limit we should have. Do you guys think that maybe we should have a limit on that? Or should they just go ahead and nerf certain decks that like do this kind of shenanigans? I know in the OCG they decided to get rid of Level Eater. But again, you guys just saw like the Galaxy whatever burn for your opponent for 510 maybe exceed. That like can FTK someone. I know Zodiacs are going to be a very meta deck. Granted, they're probably not going to be playing that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the whole like special summoning mechanic. It's just getting a little bit out of hand. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I know some of you guys will probably want the deck profile for the deck that was showed off. But again, the whole purpose of this video, what did I call it? Quasar? Oh, dang it. I don't remember what I called it, but I called it something. Did I call it Blazar? Dang it. Wow, what a bad YouTuber. Doesn't even prepare the deck. I thought I put it at the top, but I need... Okay, here it is. The Sifir Quasar Blaze It deck that busted out the Divine Spark Sifir, Shooting Quasar, and Cosmic Blazar all in one turn. This was the deck. It's a cheesy deck, but yeah, I'll go and mouse over the cards while I go ahead and talk a little bit about like repairing the game and making the game go into a slower state. Like, I understand that like the newer stuff has to be better than the older stuff, and they already guarantee that by making the older stuff not as viable. Like, you know, we obviously see nerfs that are pretty much unnecessary. Like, for example, Stratos is a... Well, actually, hold on. Can we just go to the... let's go to, like, Limited. We could easily see a lot of cards on here that wouldn't even really make a difference. Like, Neospatian Grandmal, guys. This card is clearly just too good. We gotta put it that at 1. Like, what are you gonna do? Pendulum Summon for multiple Grandmals? Like, there's so many things, I think in a lot of people's opinion, that don't really deserve to be on this list. And, I mean, granted, there's probably a lot of things that deserve to be on here. Like, Bottomless. Like, who's playing Bottomless? And, like, there's just so many things that I think, even in, like, the semi-limited, which I think are, like, you know what? Searching is so relevant in the game. Let's nerf searching. But let's also nerf Thunder King, because, like, we need to make sure people can get their searches out. I don't know. I just feel like it's just so backwards in this day and age in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where we have so many decks of special summon, yet we put Max C at, I think we're at, what, Summoner Monk? I'm just going to mouse over the cards. But that we have, again, these mechanics that are so counterproductive. Like, we have Max C to prevent us from getting, like, OTK'd and FTK'd and all these other crazy things. But then we limit it only so these other decks can succeed. I understand it's a business move, but I think that they can probably orient it in a different way. I would love to hear you guys' suggestions on how we would fix this, because maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe you guys just want the game to go faster and faster, and hey, if you guys disagree, I would love to hear that, because maybe I'm alone in this, and I want the game to be repaired in a state where you have to think through a little bit more on your turns, rather than just special summon XYZ on top of XYZ. I mean, we could look at the deck list from the OCG, and we pretty much just see Zodiacs. There's like 1 or 2 decks out of like 50 that are not. But looking into the game in the future, it's a very, very special summon heavy oriented game. And I feel like a lot of players get discouraged, especially newer players, when they come from other games like Hearthstone or like any game. Like, the special summoning in this game, is it out of control? Is it too crazy? You guys can be the judges of that. But I feel like I would like to see the game go in a different direction. But maybe I just didn't get with the times. But you guys, again, tell me how you feel down below. And I feel like I've repeated myself 69 times. But we're trying to get to that 10 minutes, boys. But, you know, that is just kind of how, I guess, their business model is oriented. But I feel like they could do it in a way which is a little bit more generous. Like, max C to 3, at least, so we could feel like, all right, we're trying to make it so some of these other decks are kind of kept in check, if you guys get what I'm saying. Or maybe, you know, be a cool card. Okay, if your opponent special summons like 10 times this duel, you just deal 5,000 points of damage. It would just keep, like, 5 times in one turn. Like, they had to have done it in one turn. Something where it just keeps the game kind of in check so people don't go off and go absolutely crazy and go ham. But, again, that's my thoughts. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. But thanks for watching, guys, and I am signing out.